Hello and a very warm welcome back to Tony Northeastern. And before we get stuck into the back scene, I had a comment from Dave Sutton regarding the coupling and how easy was it to fit it. So I'll just go through it quickly. So I'll take that one off and explain how I did it. Okay, as you can see, this is the coupling that I've just taken off the cleaning wagon. This is the coupling that you have to modify to get it like this. So basically you take off this piece, the retaining piece of the coupling, and you chamfer down these sides, both of these sides, so it's flush like this one. And then you drill a hole through the center of it, just about 3 or 4 mil from the edge, and that then would fit into the wagon itself. As you can see, it's got a little step on this side, and it's got a big step on this side. I'm looking at the couplings, but they've got different letterings on for different, but it's exactly the same coupling. Right, so that's the modification. So on the wagon itself, where you screw into, you have to cut it off so it's flush. Because that protrudes quite a bit once you take the KD coupling off, so you have to trim that back with a Stanley knife, a very fine Stanley blade, so that the threaded piece is flush with the wagon. Right, if you want to keep the original screw, you might have to countersink the back edge to retain it. So basically that's how it was done. David also asked if these actually work, and I said they do. Get a bit of white spirit on a cotton bud and just rub the muck off, and it goes back to new again. That is ready to go for the next cleaning round on the layout. So I hope that's a help for you, Dave. It is a little bit of a fiddle, but once you cut that block down and cut back the actual threaded insert on the wagon, it's straightforward really. Okay, as I explained in the last video, I'm going to be using those ratio returning walls, starting from this end, working all the way through down to the bottom end, just there, just before we get to the brewery down there. So I've made a little bit of a start just here, just to get a rough idea of what it's going to look like. So that just slots in there, and once I get the terrace houses will start on here somewhere. If I just remove this bus, I want to try and keep this if I can. I'm going to lose that quarry there. Maybe put in some houses there, but I like the greenery that I put in here a while back. And then we're going to start with the terrace houses, which will follow all the way along. So basically this is how I am putting these ratio retaining walls side by side. I'm not truly following the instructions completely, because I want to keep all this as flat as possible, especially when I'm running down the far side, because the signal box is going to be quite tight up against this wall. So basically, if you follow the ratio instructions, this bit's the same. This bit here would normally stick out a bit further, but I've left it flat, and I've just cut that in half slightly, which I will show you in a minute. So and then I'll just put the capping on the top, and this piece will then be ready to go into there. So the idea is to make up all the walls in one go, paint it all in one go, and fit it all in one go, and that way the paint colours will be round about the same. Okay, we're at the bench, and this is the left hand piece as you've just seen, and this is virtually ready to go for painting, to be honest. Capping edge is done, reinforcement bits put in here and here. So yes, this section is ready for painting. Now I've made a start on the long run. I've notched it here because the retaining wall for the bridge is quite close and I can't slide this in, so I've had to cut it to shape. This is the main run on the wall itself, so it's going to be quite a long run. It's nearly 2 meters, and you don't get many of these in a packet. You only get 2 in a packet, which is very disappointing. These are the instructions. I'm sort of semi-following the instructions. I'm using part A to run along the top, and this part here is the actual capping going on top of the wall. I'm not using this piece because I'm saving this piece for one of the bridges I'm going to build later on the layout. And this is the actual capping stone that I'm saving. I'm saving all of these pieces. The only reason I'm not using this piece is because it'll push the signal box further over and it won't be able to fit in the layout. You'll see that later on in the video. This section here, I'm just using the flat piece only. I'm not using the sides, but I am using the capping stone. So I'm not following the instructions to the T, as it were. But what I am doing is I'm overlapping this cornice piece from one piece to the other, so it creates a stronger joint, especially when you butt one end against the other. So that will just overflow onto both sides, and it just gives it a bit more rigidity. There's little nipples on the back. That's not going to help either, so they've got to come off as well. So they're cut off. Just use a Stanley blade and then they just ping off. That won't take long to go off. So by staggering these copings, no, these fascia stones, just helps strengthen it. Now when you place this on here, it should just leave a little tiny gap there, which is just big enough to put in the capping stone. But because we're not using the sides to protrude this main support and stone out, we're going to have to cut that in half. It's not easy, so just got to remove this nipple on the back. flush it off. And we've got a score across it. Basically just cut it in half. Score it first. Okay, that's the joint done. So then we just add the capping stone on the top, which is just that, and that finishes it off. So we'll just put the capping stone, show you one of them. Same again, remove any flashing. Okay, now that completes one joint in a wall. Now, as you know, I have quite a few more to go. So what I'll do, I'll leave you for now, or shall I say, I'll leave it there for now, and then we'll get back to you when I've got more or less the full length done. Okay, moving on a bit, I thought I'd give it a trial run to see what it looks like. I've added the ladder to the signal box. And as you can see from this angle, it's pushing the signal box over. Here is a view from the opposite end, and it shows it quite clearly that it's leaning over slightly. So, that is the position where it's going in, and hopefully it'll stay in that position. So I've got to mark the wall where the arch is here, and draw a line down, and then take away the earth along the bottom so that can sit level. And you can see what I mean by it being so tight. So doing all those alterations, making it as flat as possible, just so I can get that signal box in. Okay, I'm just going to mark the wall where the arch is. Right, let's see what we're left with. Right, so that's what I've done. I've just measured the signal box, and what I'm going to do from that point there to there is about 150 mil from there. So if I take out that dirt from there to there, level it off, put a bit of gravel in, job done. Okay, I'm just going to prise it up with, I think it's just polyfiller. So it should just pop up. Yeah, it's just polyfiller. Blimey, what a mess. Right, clear that up and see where we are. I've hoovered that up and cleared it away, and that's sort of given me another problem. So what I'm going to do there, I'm going to have to add another bit of the stone walling to the underside of that, which I'll be able to do later, because further down the line this wall starts getting lower and lower and lower, so I'll be able to use an offcut to put into this area here, which is good, which will cure that problem. Okay, I'm just going to put the earth back in. So I'm just going to paint that brown. Okay, and when that dries, we'll add a little bit of ballast, a little bit more dirt and grime. Okay, it's been a while. I'm just going to add a little bit of PVA. It's just a PVA water solution, 50-50. Just going to add a little bit of some brown fine ballast. Just not too much, just enough to right, we'll leave that to dry. Okay, it's not a bad effort for a Sunday afternoon. I've done all that wall all the way along there to the bridge at the end. Had to dig it out a bit more there, the old polyfiller, just to get it level, and I've added a bit there where I've took it away. I'll be keeping this little bit here, this piece of the back scene here. I might repaint the road and bring the colours out a bit more because it looks a bit dull. Right, these are the back scenes I'm going to be using. They're the Pico back scenes, and they've served me well on this layout. This one is the old industrial town centre, large SK25, and basically all I'm interested in this back scene is the terraced houses. I won't be interested at all in what's going on beyond the houses, because otherwise it'll be a repetition of what's on the layout already. So all I'm interested in is what's in the foreground, just above this stone walling here. Now, as you've noticed, I've marked the line for the back scene. As you can see, I've done it all the way along, so that gives me the height of where the wall is. So now I just need to work out how much of the terrace houses I need to stick above that line, because obviously the wall will hide some of the back doors, maybe half the windows, and little bits and pieces like that. So it's going to give me an idea of what's to go. Okay, we're at the bench and I've marked a line and scored it ready. It's roughly 30mm from the edge there to the centre of the line where I've just scored it. But I just quickly want to show you this before I cut it out. Now, I have changed the name of the pub. It is now called the Wilbury Castle. Used to be the Leg and Pullet. Because I've used these signs so many times, you can't have hundreds of legs and pullets on the layout, so I just thought I'd quickly change it, along with a C Bun, the bakers. And that used to be the A Glug water mill or waterworks. Anyway, I've decided to cut along and just use up to this edge here. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to score this out and offer it up onto the wall and see how it looks. Right, I've finished cutting out the back scene. So what we're going to do, we're just going to quickly offer it up to get a rough idea of what it's going to look like. That's what it looks like at the moment. So if I put the wall in place, offer up my recently cut Backscene. Now that's the effect I'm trying to get all the way along the Backscene. If you've noticed, I've painted the road in the corner there to come down to meet the houses here at the front. So that's what I'm hoping to achieve all the way along the back wall, and I think that in itself is 100% better than that. Right, I'm just about to paint this stone wall in now, so the first thing I'll do is to rub in the cement into the stonework. Make sure it gets into every piece of stonework. Just using acrylic paints, tiny bit of white and yellow mix, and just really getting it into the grooves, as it were. And just get a sponge and then just take the excess off. As you can see, that's highlighted all the cement. Right, I've got a lot of this to do, so I shall crack on. Okay, I've started the second stage. I've just used the sponge and I've mixed up a rather dark grey here. I've used a brush to put some of the dark grey paint onto the sponge and just dabbed it on the towel, and then just lightly dabbed it on a few places with a grime, and that's the effect you get. Obviously I've got to tweak it a bit more yet, but yeah, you can see just by dabbing it. Right, as you can see, I have now put a little bit of black on using the sponge technique again, and just rubbing it backwards and forwards after dabbing it on the towel, so you don't put so much on, and that has brought that out okay. I'll just have to add a little bit of black on a brush into the creases, into those creases on the lower end of the wall. I've just got to add some green paint now. That'll be the final phase, which I'll just put along the top here and on the top of the capping stones there as well, just to finish it off. I'm just going to get a bit of green, just run it along the top edges like so, and get the sponge and sponge it off. And I'll just add it in a few other little places, using the brush and then taking it off with a sponge. Okay, so I shall continue and we'll get back to you. Okay, as you can see, it's on the layout, and the two walls seem to complement each other. And here is the rest of the wall in its entirety. As you can see, that's the extra bit I had to glue on to get it down to the ground level. Yeah, I'm really pleased the way that's come out. It's really given it the dirty look as you would expect to find. The glue I used to stick this on is just the ordinary Yoo-hoo glue. So what I did, I put it on these sections here, every single one of the arch bits, because this sticks out further than the front face, if you like, and put the glue on and left it for about a minute so that it sticks on straight away. It's only been on a couple of minutes now and that's quite firm already. There's still a few gaps under the wall, but I can hide that with some more foliage. Right, as you can see, I have now added the Pico backscenes above the stone walling, and it's looking a lot better than what I had there originally. All the way down as far as the eye can see. As you can see, I left the countryside scene there. I touched it up a little bit, removed the quarry that was there and painted over that, and just added a few little trees. So I more or less kept that. Okay, here we are at the other end of the brick wall, and the Pico scene's been added. And I've also filled in the gap that was running along the whole length of the wall with the extra foliage, and added a few extra shrubs, which helps finish it off. I'm well pleased with the way that this has turned out. When you saw the original backscene, it was a mishmash of various different colours, but this all looks more uniformed. And just like to say thank you guys for voting this in as the #1 project to do. There's still a little bit more to do. The signal box needs lighting putting in, but I can do it at my leisure. And I'll concentrate on doing this little tiny bit here when I come to do the brewery. So on the whole, project 1 is now complete. So I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen, and I'm looking forward to doing project 2, which is the bridge. Thanks again, everybody. Bye.